Hi students, this is Kartik Trivedi and you are watching a lecture series of Applied Thermodynamics with... Hi students, now we are going to start the last chapter that we have left. We have taken construction and working of centrifugal compressor, and then we have seen the reciprocating compressor and axial flow compressor. So in MSc1 we have covered this portion in last chapter, constructions of reciprocating, axial and centrifugal compressor, and we have left remaining. So now we are going to start with the remaining and going to finish this. Okay, so in last chapter we are going to take remaining topics. So now we are going to take multi-stage condition for minimum work and intercooling. For what? For reciprocating compressor. So theory is multi-stage condition for minimum work and intercooling. So in example they ask, explain multi-stage compression, explain multi-stage in reciprocating compressor, and also they will ask, like, derive minimum work when perfect intercooling or imperfect intercooling is done. So now we have to understand two terms, what is intercooling and what is multi-stage compressions. So when the compression is done in more than one stage, that is known as multi-stage compression. So here you can see that this is compressor number 1 and this is compressor number 2. So this is lower pressure compressor and this is higher pressure compressor. So here I have used two compressions. So I have done the compression in two stages. So that is known as two-stage compression. So more than one stage, that is multi-stage compression. Okay. So here in multi-stage compression I have used two compressors. So that is why it is known two-stage compressor. You can use three-stage compressor. So there you have three compressor. Okay. Why I am going to do this? Because when you require high pressure, so what you have to do? You have to do compression in more than one stages, because when you require high pressure, at that time it is very necessary that you will do compression in more than one stage, because that is good for your efficiency. That's the reason why we are doing the multi-stage. And also you will require minimum work for generating that high pressure. How? I'm going to explain over here. So sometime in exam he will ask, write down the advantage of multi-stage compression. So the reason is over here. Here you can see that, let's say my initial pressure is P1. Okay, so our intermediate pressure is P2 and the final pressure that I want is P3. Okay, so initial pressure and final pressure is always decided. Intermediate pressure, that you can vary. So what I want require final pressure P3. So this is my target. So you have three ways of doing this. So first you can see that 1, 2 and 3 days. If I can do this in single stage, so our cycle will be something like this, 1, 2, 3 days. So this is single stage only. Now forget this first stage, second stage, return, always forget everything. So this cycle will be 6 to 1, 1 to 3 days, 3 days to 4. So you can see that. Now work done required for this single stage compressor is area under the curve. So area under the curve will be this much. Now instead of single stage, if I will do in a two stage, so what I will do, first I will do compression in from first to 2, then I will do intercooling 2 to 2 days, and then I will compression to 2 to 3 double days, so from 2 to 3. So here you can see that 2 days to 3. First again I am going to repeat, if I will do compression in multi-staging, so first what I will do compress from P1 to P2, intermediate pressure, then I will do intercooling. So here you can say cold heat exchanger over here. So I will do intercooling and pressure will be reduced, pressure will be constant pressure intercooling. So here you can see that 1 to 2, from then I will go to 2 days, 1 to 2, 2 to 2 days, and then I can do compression and then I will reach 3 double days. Okay, so the 2 days to 3, sorry, 2 days to 3, then you will reach 2 days to 3. So my cycle will be 6 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 2 days, 2 days to 3. So you can see that now the area under the curve is reduced. Area under the curve is reduced. So you require minimum work. And here you can see that this cycle 1 to 2 days, 2 days to 3 double days. This is known as isothermal process. So this is the theoretical process. So here you can see that you will get the minimum area under the work. So if for isothermal process you will require minimum work, but this is the theoretical thing. And we know that from single stage compression, which is 1 to 2, 2 to 3 days, where you require maximum area, where you get the maximum area under the curve. So that there you require the maximum work. So what we have to do, we have to think practically. So what our cycle will be over here is 1 to 2. So first I will do compressor in single stage 1 to 2. Then I will do intercooling at a constant pressure. So here you can see that 2 to 2 dash. So 2 to 2 dash. And then I will do compression from 2 dash to 3. So 2 dash to 3. So our cycle will be, here I am explaining the cycle 6 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 2 dash, 2 dash to 3. Okay, so this is what we are going to do over here. So here I will show you the 3 scenario. First is if I will do multi-stage, then cycle will be 6 to 1, to 1 to 3 dash, 3 dash to 4. If I will do theoretically, this isothermally, so 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 double dash. So there will you get the less minimum amount of work, but that is the theoretical thing. What I have to do? I have to do practically. So 6 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 2 dash, 2 dash to 3, and 3 to 4. That is the our cycle. So here, that is why now you will get why we are doing multi-staging, because if you do single stage, there you get the maximum area under the curve. So that means you have to do maximum work. Means you have to do maximum work. Now what we are going to do over here, we are going to do the compressor in multi-stage. So if you do the compressor in multi-stage, so you will know that 6 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 2 dash, 2 dash to 3, and 3 to 4. So you see that compared to single stage, in multi-staging you will get the less area under the curve. That means you will get the less, you have to do less work for the same curve, for the getting the higher pressure. So that is the reason why we are doing multi-stage compression. So that is what I have explained over here. Okay, and this is the theoretical process, isothermal. If you go isothermally, so 1 to 2 dash, 2 dash to 3 double dash. That is the least work that you require, but that is theoretical thing. Okay, so now we are going to explain over here. Here you can see that this is the first cylinder in which air in at a pressure P1, temperature T1, compression will be done, and air out at a pressure P2, temperature T2. Here you have a intercooling, means you are cool them bit. Intercooling means what? Between two compressor, you will do the constant pressure cooling. That is called intercooling. So here you can see that this air which is coming out the first compressor is cooled in a heat exchanger at a constant pressure. So here this is known as intercooling. So that is known as intercooling. I will write something like this. Okay. Now here you can see that air in P1 T1, air out at P2 E2. Here at a constant pressure intercooling will be done. So pressure P2 same, but temperature is reduced from T2 to T2 dash. Now here in seconds compressor, the air in with the pressure P2, temperature T2 dash, compression done, and here the final pressure P3 is obtained, temperature T3 is obtained, and then it will go to the receiver. So where the high pressure air will be collected. So this is how it's gonna work. So this is what you are, this is the technicality of this theory. Okay. Now they will ask you in the exam something like this, explain, or they will ask derive minimum work for two-stage compression without clearance and perfect intercooling. Okay, so first let us understand what is, how to get this derivation. So first let us find the work done. So work done for two-stage compression, remember this, that you have to remember this kind of equation, because this is the equation of single stage. So first we will see for first stage. First stage means what? From 1 to 2. So from 1 to 2 for first stage compressor, because here it is done in 2 stage. So this is first stage work plus second stage work. So total work will be first stage plus second stage. So in first stage work will be N upon N minus 1. Then you have pressure P1 V1. Here you have to start with P1 V1, P2 upon P1, N minus 1 upon N minus 1. So this is the equation of single stage. Now plus you have to remember this equation. This equation is come from where? This equation is come from the single stage work done for single stage reciprocating compressor. Now plus over here. Now for second stage. So second stage you will write N upon N minus 1. Then in second stage, what is the initial properties? That is pressure P2 and volume will be V2 dash. Okay. So P2, V2 dash, P3 upon P2, high pressure upon low pressure. That is you have to write, because here P3, here P2. So pressure is so P3 upon P2, N minus 1 upon N minus 1. Same way, if they ask you in the exam for the 3 stage, then you have to write this equation according to 3 compressor. Okay. So this is for 2 stage. So here this is the work that you have to remember. Okay. Now for perfect intercooling. Now let us understand what is perfect intercooling. Perfect intercooling means you are doing cooling in such a way that after cooling your temperature of the air is equal to the initial temperature. So here you can see that here the final temperature after cooling is T2 dash. So if this temperature becomes equal to the initial temperature at which air comes, so initial temperature at which air comes is T1. So if T2 dash equal to T1, then it is known as perfect intercooling. Perfect intercooling means after cooling you will achieve the temperature equal to the initial temperature of the air. So that is T1. So if T2 dash, here the final temperature after cooling is T2 dash. So if T2 dash equal to the T1, which is initial temperature of the air. So if T2 dash equal to T1, then it is known as perfect intercooling. And if T2 dash is not equal to T1, then it is known as imperfect intercooling. Okay, so right now we are talking about perfect intercooling. So T2 dash will be equal to T1. So now for perfect intercooling, we know that T1 equal to T2 dash. So that's why they have written P1 V1 equal to P2 V2 dash. Here most of the student will surprise, sir, how you can write that? So let me explain you. So here for this process, can you write P1 V1 T1? Can you write like this? For this process P1 V1 T1 is equal to, for this process can you write equal to P2 V2 dash T2 dash. But you know that for perfect intercooling T2 dash equal to T1. So this and this equal to cancel. Therefore P1 V1 equal to P2 V2 dash. So that is the logic why we have written this P1 V1 equal to P2 V2 dash. So here instead of P2 V2 dash write P1 V1. So here put P1 V1. So what will happen? Here n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 and here n minus 1 P1 V1. So both things will be common. So equation will be something like this: P2 upon P1 n minus 1 upon n plus P3 upon P2 n minus 1 upon n minus 2. So this equation is for without clearance and perfect intercooling. This is the work done. Okay, so this is the work done equations for without clearance and perfect intercooling. Now he asks us to derive the equation for minimum work. So now we require minimum work. So to get the minimum work, or you can say maximum efficiency, because minimum work is equal to maximum efficiency. So condition for minimum work. So let us derive the equations for minimum work. So minimum work, we have to do the differentiation of this work done equation with respect to P2. Why P2? Because you know that your initial pressure is always atmospheric pressure, so that is fixed. Final pressure is always fixed because that is the target that you want to achieve. Only variable is P2, intermediate. So that's why you have to do the differentiation of this work done with respect to P2. So that's why I've written P2 is variable. So you have to differentiate this work done equation with respect to P2 for getting minimum work. So dW upon dP2 equal to 0. So let us differentiate. So d upon dP2, write down the work done equation. So here work done equation. So what I have done, why I have not written n upon n minus 1 P1 V1, because if you write n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 equal to over here, but that is equal to 0, so that is going to become 0. You can write that over here, n upon n minus 1 P1 V1, but you can say that is 0. So if that comes over here, 0 upon n minus 1 P1 V1, so that is also going to be 0. So that's why I have not written over here. So I have directly written d upon dP2, this term P2 upon P1 n minus 1 upon n plus P3 upon P2 n minus 1 upon n minus 2. Okay, again repeat, why I have not written n upon n minus 1 P1 V1? Because you know that is equal to 0, that you have to write. So if these terms go over here 0 upon, so that is also going to become 0. So that's why I have not written n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 over here. Now you have to do the differentiation of this equation with respect to P2. So let's do it. Now let us differentiate this equation with respect to P2. Okay, so now what we gonna do? So here you can see the n minus 1 upon n, here n minus 1 upon n is over here. So what I am going to do, I am going to assume n minus 1 upon n is equal to x. So I can write this equation something like this: d upon dP2, P2 upon P1 raised to x plus P3 upon P2 raised to x minus 2. Why? Because I have assumed n minus 1 is equal to x. Now let us do the differentiation. So before doing differentiation, can I write something like this? Because this is P2 upon P1 raised to x, so this can be P2 raised raised to x upon p1 raised to x. This is p3 upon p2 whole raised to x. So this is p3 raised to x upon p2 raised to x minus 2 equals to 0. So now let us do differentiation with respect to p2. So 1 upon p1 raised to x will be outside because it is constant. P2 raised to x means x raised to n into x raised to n minus 1. So x will be here and p2 raised to x minus 1, because we know the differentiation of x raised to n is equal to n into x raised to n minus 1. Same way over here. So what we're going to do over here is, here p3 raised to x, p2 raised to x. So we know that p3 raised to x is constant because we are going to do differentiation with respect to p2. So here 1 upon p2 raised to x. So can I write this something like this, p2 raised to minus x. So what will be the minus x will be ahead and minus x minus 1. Why? Because x raised to n is equal to n into x raised to n minus 1. So that is what I have done over here. So it will be minus x ahead, p2 raised to minus x minus 1 equals to 0. Now let us simplify these equations, okay? So what I am going to write, you can see that 1 upon p1 raised to x. So can I write p1 raised to minus x as it is, p2 raised to x minus 1 as it is. Same way here, plus minus, so it will be minus, and if we will go that side, so that will become plus. So that's why equals to. Why? Because I have taken this term on this side. So what will happen? This minus plus minus minus, and this term will go that side, so that will become plus. So that's why equal to x p3 raised to x p2 raised to minus x minus 1. I have written over here p2 raised to minus x minus 1. So what will happen? X will be cut. So can I write something like this? P1 raised to minus x. This will be p2 raised to x minus 1. So that can be, you know that p2 raised to x minus 1. So this can be written as p2 raised to x dot p2 raised to minus 1. So p2 raised to x will be as it is, and p2 raised to minus 1 means 1 upon p2. So it will go over here. Okay. Same way over here, p3 raised to x as it is. This is p2 raised to minus x minus 1. So this can be written p2 raised to minus x, p2 raised to minus 1. So both will go denominator. So p2 raised to x and p2 raised to 1. So that is over here. So now what will happen? P2 will be cancelled. Now what we gonna do? So p2 raised to x as it is. This is p1 raised to minus x, so it will go down. So p2 raised to x upon p1 raised to x. Here p3 raised to x, p2 raised to x. Now let us do here p2 raised to x cross multiplication. p2 raised to x, p2 raised to x. So p2 raised to x whole square, and this will be p3 raised to x dot p1 raised to x. So this can be written x square means 2x, p2 raised to 2x is equal to p3 dot p1 whole raised to x. So x will be cut. So p2 square equal to p3 dot p1. So p2 equal to under root p3 P1. So this is the condition for minimum work. So we got the condition for minimum work. So if we put P2 equal to under root of P3 P1 in our main equation, so we have these equations, we have derived these equations. What is that equations that we already derived? W equal to n upon n minus 1, P1 upon P1 V1, P2 upon P1, n minus 1 upon n plus P3 upon P2, n minus 1 upon n minus 2. So in these equations, if we put P2 equal to under root of P3 P1, then we will get minimum work. So let us put this condition in our main equation for getting minimum work. So therefore W minimum is equal to n upon n minus 1 P1 V1. In place of P2 you have to write under root P3 P1. So that means P3 dot P1 raised to 1 by 2 upon P1, n minus 1 upon n plus here P3 as it is. In place of P2 you have to write P3 dot P1 raised to 1 by 2, n minus 1 upon n minus 2. Now let us simplify it. So this W minimum equal to n minus 1, n upon n minus 1, P1 V1. This will become P3 upon P1, n minus 1 upon 2n. How? So here you can see that this is P3 dot P1 raised to 1 by 2. So that means what? That means P3 raised to 1 by 2 dot P1 raised to 1 by 2. Same you have P1. So what will happen? So this P1 raised to 1 by 2. This is P1 raised to 1 by 2. So this is P1. So can I write P1 as a P1 raised to 1 by 2 dot P1 raised to 1 by 2. So 1 P1 raised to 1 by 2 will be cancelled. So P3 raised to 1 by 2, P1 raised to 1 by 2. So can I write P3 upon P1 whole raised to 1 by 2, and this 1 by 2 will be multiplied with n minus 1 upon n. So that's why it is n minus 1 and n upon 2n. So that is what we have done over here. Okay. So same logic over here. So now I'm not going to explain. So same logic is applied over here. So that's why P3 upon P1 n minus 1 upon 2n minus 2. Now what will happen? Here P3 upon P1 n minus 1 upon n to n plus P3 upon P1 n minus 1 to n. So this will become 2 into. So this will become 2 into P3 upon P1 n minus 1 upon 2n minus 2. So 2 common. So 2 will be outside. So 2n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 bracket P3 upon P1 n minus 1 upon 2n minus 1. So this is the minimum work for two-stage condition with perfect intercooling. Okay. So this is the thing. Now let's say if they will ask you write down these equations for three-stage compression, then what you have to do? So I have generalized the equation. So if they will ask for any number of stage, your equation will be W minimum is equal to capital N into small n upon n minus 1 upon n minus 1 P1 V1 bracket P n plus 1 capital N plus 1 upon P1 n minus 1 upon capital N into n. Okay, so this will is into n minus 1. This will be your equation where L equal to number of stages. So let's say for two stages, so put n equal to 2, so it will be 2n upon n minus 1 same P1 V1 put n equal to 2 plus 1 3, so P3 upon P1 n minus 1 n equal to 2 put 2n minus 1, so it will be same. Let's say for 3, so put n equal to 3, so 3 stage compression 3n upon n minus 1 P1 V1 P3 plus 1, so P4 upon P1 n minus 1 3n minus 1. So that is you can write for any number of stages. So this is very important. So I hope you will like this video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.